Welcome back to Legacy Decoded, where we explore the ideas, systems, technologies, and philosophies shaping the future before the future arrives. Today, I'm joined by Nicole East, founder and CEO of Luxe Elite Yachts, a luxury yacht co-ownership and management company, reimagining what ownership can look like for modern families, executives, and entrepreneurs. Nicole's work sits at the intersection of luxury, structure, and life design and trust through Luxe Elite Yachts. She helps clients experience the prestige, privacy, and freedom of yachting without carrying the full operational burden of sole ownership. But today's conversation is a little bigger than yachts, right? It's about the future of luxury, the hidden cost of complexity, why attention may be one of the most valuable assets people have, and how ownership models are evolving from possession towards access, experience, and intentional living. Nicole, welcome to Legacy Dakota.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Most people see a yacht and think luxury, but when I read your work, it feels like you see something deeper there. Structure, time, attention, operational burden. So I kind of want to start there if that's okay.
For sure. So, we really were looking at the space of yachts and traditional yacht ownership just really doesn't get a lot of people on the water. This is a dream of many people, and so we thought, well, how can we make it so that we can take the complexity out of yacht ownership but also make it attainable for more people to get out on the water?
Hmm. When did you realize that the real product wasn't just the yacht, but the ownership experience around it?
Well, I think, I started back in charters here in Mexico where I currently live. And I noticed that I had clients coming back time and time again, booking the same yacht, the same experience, but they're renting, they're chartering, they don't own.
Mm.
But yet they were asking for the similar experience. They had fallen in love with the crew, they had fallen in love with the boat. And so they were looking for that pride of ownership, that experience of coming back to that same, over time and time again. But it wasn't that they couldn't afford it either. That was another side of it. It was just, how are these assets being used? Most of them are
Mm.
sitting so underutilized.
Mm.
And so it was like, how can we fill that gap to give these owners that same experience, the pride of owning, but make it much more efficient than what exists today?
That is awesome. That makes a lot of sense. It does sound like yachts are kind of the visible part, but the invisible part is like the maintenance, the scheduling, the crew compliance, and also just alignment. But you said in different ways that ownership should add to your life, not quietly take from it.
Mhm.
Where did that belief kind of come from?
Well, yacht ownership is very nuanced. I mean, when you own these yachts, there's a lot that goes into it. Not only is it setting up where the yacht is going to be, home ported, but also itineraries, stocking the boat, hiring the crew, the maintenance schedules, when anything goes wrong at any time. I mean, there's so many moving parts because these assets are so complex. So when you own a yacht, a lot of our clients are very time-starved professionals. So
Mm.
they don't want to go on the yacht and manage the crew and deal with all the issues that the captain's bringing to them. Instead, they want to go and enjoy those moments on the water with the ones they love in the experience. And that's why it does quietly take, from you when you're an owner. So why not have all of those pieces managed on your behalf so you can focus on what matters the most?
Yeah, that's a super sharp distinction. I believe people talk about time all the time, but attention is different. Time is the calendar. Attention is what still has a hook in your mind after, the meeting ends essentially.
Mhm.
Moving forward, for someone who has never looked at yacht co-ownership before, could you kind of explain the model? What problem does it kind of solve for them?
Yeah, so with our model, because every co ownership model is a little bit different, we structure ours anywhere from two up to a maximum of four owners own within a particular vessel within a specific region. And then our team, not only do we, purchase the yacht, we also do the structuring of the entity because it is true equity ownership for the four different owners. And then we manage that yacht from end to end. And then we even have a 5-year exit strategy so that there is a predetermined path to liquidity for the ownership group.
Wow, that's awesome. And I believe a lot of people hear co-ownership and think maybe I'm compromising here, but your positioning feels more like optimization. How do you make sure that shared ownership still feels premium for them?
Well, I mean, even just in the management side, we have a dedicated concierge manager for each of our yachts. And so this is the owner's main point of contact. And what they do is, they handle everything for the owners as little or as much as they want from, itinerary planning, obviously stocking the yacht with their provisions. But we even go one step further and we ensure that if there are specific items that a client has or wants on board, like maybe it's a specific gym equipment or a
Mm,
set of sheets that are their preference, we ensure that we store that in a climate controlled facility and we put those items on board so each owner truly feels that this is their yacht, their second home.
I believe that's good because like the old luxury conversation was about, look what I own, but the new one feels more like, look how little friction I have, which is quite luxury, but operationally, not just a sweater with no logo, kind of like the entire life with fewer unnecessary decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you've talked about structure being like the foundation.
Mhm.
What happens when co-ownership is, structured poorly?
Well, again, a lot of these clients are coming in and it's actually very simple
Mm,
to buy a yacht and even simple to have a partnership with friends or family in owning a yacht. But where the friction comes in is that aftercare. It's that management side. As
mm,
I mentioned, that those nuances, the little pieces, things can go very wrong very quickly, especially in, when we take into account multiple regions and multiple owners with different residents. So, it's important to look at, okay, what is the framework structure for how these yachts are owned from the owners? But then all the different pieces within the particular region. So, for example, here in Mexico, where I live, workmanship is done very differently than what you would see in the United States. So having a management team in each of our regions that understands how the different regions operate is essential to providing that high level service to our clientele.
love it. And the exit strategy, why is that so important from the beginning?
If you don't have a defined exit, this is really a never ending ownership. I mean,
Mm,
how do you exit? Yes, you can always sell your share at any time. But knowing, okay, we've got a 5-year outlook. Even, for example, one of our regions that we have an offering in right now is through the Mediterranean. And that follows a 5 different region cycle through the 5 years. So each summer season is spent in a different region like Spain, France, Croatia, Greece. So these owners know, okay, after the 5-year term, we sell the yacht, we get what we've, what the current market value is of our share, and then we can decide at that time, what has changed in our life. Have we retired? Now maybe we step up to full ownership. Or
mm,
maybe we're downsizing. We want something smaller or something in a different region. So, this really allows them to dip their toes into an experience of owning the yacht. And then from there, they can decide what really works for them in their lifestyle.
mm, super important. And I know you talk a lot about like family memory, multi-generational experiences. Do clients typically come in thinking about the yacht and eventually start talking about like who they want to start onboarding with them?
Yeah, so that's actually where we always start with clients. So when
Mm,
we meet, people who are interested in our concept, we always, want to have a really great conversation about how are they going to use the yacht?
mm,
Who do they travel with? Because it's really important to understand the lifestyle behind their ownership. And sometimes we discover in our initial conversation that co-ownership isn't the right fit.
absolutely. And well, I'd like to make a clean turn here. When you look at, well, you've clearly thought deeply about the ownership structure, the client experience, the operational burden. I'd kind of like to unpack the business building side for a second, because what you are building feels like one of those categories where education, trust, and positioning matters just as much as the offer itself. When you look at, Lux Elite right now, what does growth kind of look like for you guys?
So right now, we are, of course, building a lot of trust within the marketplace behind our brand. So in the beginning, really the first year that I spent building this company, it was all on the legal side of things in figuring out, well, how can this concept apply to these assets?
Hmm.
I personally worked back in real estate in the fractional space many, many years ago. So I understood how that worked to a deeded property. But when you're looking at something that moves into various jurisdictions,
Hmm.
that changes things a lot. So, it was trying to figure out how, from a legal standpoint, is this going to work? Once that foundation was built, it was all about partnerships within the industry, on the operations side. And, once we sort of formed those partnerships and built that foundation, now it has been into moving into brand partners. So, what yacht builders
Hmm.
can we partner with in bringing this concept to the marketplace where they may have a very strong brand following, but it's sort of a dream. It's
Hmm.
something that, yes, I can afford it, but I'm not necessarily going to do it because of the inefficiency behind it. Well, now we're giving these brand followers a new solution to making their dreams happen.
Mm,
So that's really where our growth is focused, is, developing more of our brand partnerships within the industry, builders, as well as, partners that work with individuals that are looking for our concept. So family offices, wealth managers, and of course, yacht brokers.
I love it. I love it. Yes, it's very clear that you're not building anything like a commodity yacht offer. What kind of people do you most enjoy working with?
Oh, man, what I think my favorite part of my job is just the connection globally.
Mm,
I talk to people literally across the globe every week. And it's really opened my eyes to different spaces and how different regions work and how business is done all over the world.
mm,
So, I enjoy working with all sorts of people, really people who understand innovation, people who are looking for a way to solve complex problems in the marketplace, who are open to not necessarily looking at the traditional yacht ownership way, but are open to the new concepts because times are changing in this industry.
That's so true. Things are moving super fast. What's kind of been harder so far? Is it like the cultural differences? Is it getting people excited about the lifestyle, or just kind of getting them comfortable with the structure overall?
I think really it's the educational piece, because for so long it was this very traditional structure. You just buy a yacht one way. And it seemed to be that it was only for the, elite. Only a certain type of person could really be a part of this yacht ownership. And so when people hear about our concept, I can see them, the wheels turning, like it's a good idea and concept, but then it immediately jumps to that trust factor. Well, wait a minute. These are complex. So how do you manage this? And so, it's really educating not only our clients, but the entire industry, the entire space that we exist and that we have thought of all the what ifs. when we
Mm,
designed our model.
awesome. Education is always super important. We've always built the or cultivated our community based on just education and resources. So we always felt like educational pieces were going to always be a super important part of what we did as well. Which is the reason why we put these things together, these conversations. We definitely want to make sure that we get the right information out there, right education. People are more informed. But I'd love to know, as we, for you guys, where does the education process currently happen? Is it the website? Is it referrals, LinkedIn, events?
Yeah, so a lot of the work I do is a strong presence, of course, on LinkedIn. That's one piece, but also it's making sure that we attend the major boat shows. So for luck, luckily for me, this past Palm Beach show in Florida, I was there representing two of our brands, and we were quite amazed with how many clients came to check out the yacht, learned about our product while we were there, about our concept, and were very open and excited about the possibility. Because now it's like, I was contemplating purchasing the full yacht,
Mm,
but I was a little bit unsure. But now this makes it almost an easy yes, because
yeah.
I can step in for 5 years, I can experience it and make sure it is the right platform for myself and my lifestyle.
Mm, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can only imagine. I spent a lot of time in Central Florida, South Florida too. We're thinking about opening an office there. If someone discovers Lux Elite today, what usually needs to happen before they're, ready for a serious call?
Well, we encourage our clients, if they're interested, to reach out just for a conversation just like this, no pressure. For
Mm,
us, it's really asking a lot of questions in the beginning, as I mentioned, about understanding how a client is going to use the yacht, understanding, well, what are their goals? Because this concept isn't for everyone. And I want to be very clear about that. And so
mm,
that initial call is very much figuring out, is this going to be something that works for them in their lifestyle? Checking out our YouTube, we've got some educational content on there, really explaining about, how our model works. Each co ownership model is very different depending on the company. So,
mm.
there are very big questions that clients will want to understand, like usage. I mean, that alone can hold people up in making decisions if it's not properly defined.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, what makes someone a perfect fit for Lux Elite?
So I think this is a buyer who's, an owner who's really interested in owning a yacht. It's been something that they've been very curious about. It's more for people who like to plan ahead, because a lot of times you're sharing with three other owners. There's not necessarily a lot of, use, like, I want to go use the yacht tomorrow.
Hmm.
Sometimes, yes, it is available, but a lot of times it's not, because clients have, or the owners have pre-booked their itineraries and their plans. So if you're
Hmm.
looking for, that spontaneous use, this is not going to be the right product for you.
Hmm.
Also, a lot of our clients, a lot of our yachts are commercially registered, which allows our owners to rent out any unused time to help
Hmm.
offset some of their cost. So, depending on what your goals are on that side, certain vessels that we have may not be the right fit because they're under this commercial registration.
Hmm. That's awesome. Do you feel like there's like a window right now where like this category is forming and like the strongest voices will kind of define the language around it?
I think we are going to see a lot of movement into this space in the coming decade.
Mm,
We are really hearing loud and clear from the marketplace that people are really after the concept of, how can we make, efficient use of our asset?
mhm,
And it's more about that lifestyle experience, not having, exactly take away from their life, slowly take away from all the management. So clients are leaning more towards experience versus ownership. Now we sort of take both concepts and put it into one, because you still own a piece, but you don't have to worry about all the different complexities behind it. So it'll be interesting to see how the space shifts in the coming decade.
Absolutely. If Luxe Elite like became the category authority for intelligent yacht co-ownership, what would that kind of unlock for you guys?
Well, I mean, that is the goal. I mean, that is my goal is to be the leading co-ownership provider in this space globally.
Mhm.
But it's building. We have to really focus on the areas where we have the experience, where we have our partnerships. We can't grow too quickly into multiple regions because we need to have that boots on the ground. I mean, the
Mhm.
operational framework is really our backbone of our brand and our reputation.
Mhm.
So, building in particular regions right now and being very strong there is where we're starting. And then we will grow as the opportunity comes along.
Absolutely. I feel like your experience with real estate had a lot to do with your current operations. How much did you kind of, well, how much of that did you kind of bring with you into starting Lux?
So the real estate side was more on the fractional, like understanding the concept, how to really build the framework behind the co ownership structure. Where actually my experience comes into play on the operational side is I actually owned a renovation company with my husband for over a decade. And so that was nonstop problems.
Hmm.
Every day we were dealing with, okay, plan A, B, C, and D. And this is very much translational into yachting. I mean,
Hmm.
something seems to always be happening,
Hmm.
with a yacht or with the crew or with, multiple different things can be happening day to day. So just applying a lot of that, being able to quickly think outside the box, coming up with multiple solutions very quickly, that is essential into running the operational side behind the yachting.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is that Lux Elite sits in a really interesting position. You guys are not just offering yacht access, you're building a more intelligent ownership model for people who already value privacy time, lifestyle, exceptional experiences, but just don't want that operational burden that usually comes with traditional ownership. I think the real challenge is that, the model has a ton of depth. There's lifestyle appeal on the surface. Underneath that, you have structure, right? You have trust, governance, ownership, alignment, charter optionality, and also exit planning. So, the business has to do two things at once, which is it has to create desire for the experience, also has to build confidence in the structure. I definitely love what you guys have built. If you know anyone was listening to this conversation currently, what would you want them to absolutely know?
Well, I think we so often put our dreams on hold in life and we don't go for it because whatever's holding us back. And so we've now opened up the opportunity. If you have been called to own a yacht, there's people that this has been a childhood dream of theirs forever. This
Mm,
now you have the opportunity to do it without a massive commitment like it would be if you were to buy it outright. So, there's no time like the present to go after your dreams. And yeah, I'm a big believer in it. I moved my family to Mexico and, so I live that life by design as well. And so I'm
mhm.
here to, let people know it's possible. You just got to go for it.
Yeah, 100%. How long have you guys been in Mexico? This is a
4
great
years.
place. 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years.
Beautiful. Are you speaking fluent Spanish?
Mi español no bueno.
Definitely learning Spanish myself every day. Duolingo. It's like the first thing I do to start my day.
Yeah.
Still learning. Still learning.
Yeah, it's all about having the boots on the ground, right? The people lucky for me, I mostly speak English all day at work, so it's helpful.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I definitely really appreciated this conversation. If people are looking for you, Lux Elite, where can they find you? What's the best way to get in contact?
I would say definitely starting at our website, Luxe Elite Yachts with an S.com, or even just myself on LinkedIn, Nicole East. I mean, I post a lot of content behind what we're building and just sort of the mindset of how our structure works and who our ideal clientele is. I mean, there's a great place to start sort of going through our content there and just seeing is, I'd welcome the opportunity for a conversation to understand what people's lifestyle is and if this might fit into it.
I love it. Love it. Did we cover everything? Is there anything you would, kind of leave out or just anything at all that you wanted to cover?
No, I think this was great. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely, again, very thankful of you just sharing this space and having this conversation with us. Definitely love what you guys are doing. Again, I'm Calais Poteet. This is Legacy Decoded, where we are having the conversations that build the future. And until next time, if you have any comments, questions, put them in the comment section below or wherever you're seeing this video. I really thank you guys if you stayed to the end. And Nicole, again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.